I didn't think I was going to love this book, man. I didn't think I was going to love this book. When I saw this cover as a kid, I did not like the cover to this book. Thought it was weird, thought it was strange looking. I was like, you know what, as a kid, you see the cover, you don't want to touch it. I am so happy that I read Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Because this book, off the rip, for me, even though it wasn't as scary as other Goosebumps books that I probably will rate highly in the future, maybe even rate highly right now, it had anxiety and it had stress when you thought about yourself being in Michael's situation. This book gets a 5 out of 5. Flawless victory. Cuckoo Clock of Doom wins. This book gets a 5 out of 5 from me. I think it's perfect. I think any weaknesses you find in this book is just nitpicks. This book has a great concept, introduces an object with the lore already explained. Doesn't explain why this cuckoo clock was made, but it explains the lore as to how it was made, which is important. Lets you get more engaged with the object itself. It has a nice spin and take on Groundhog Day. You think the book is about Groundhog Day. No, it's not. It's going back in time. Each day you wake up, instead of repeating the same day, you're repeating back in time. You're going back in time with these books. Not the books, with Michael's life. In this book, you're doing that, but yeah, Michael's life, you're going backwards. This book is genuinely funny. I was laughing out loud at a ton of moments in this book. That scene where he's like 7 years old and he goes up to the bus driver and he tells the bus driver to mind your own business. And the bus driver's like, huh? And then he's like, oh, mommy and daddy wanted me to go visit their workplace. Google Gaga. And he's like, all right, get on the bus. That was funny. When he was at the daycare when he was 4 years old with his crush, I think her name was Mona, when she's like calling him stupid and he's like, all right, well, if you feel that way, you didn't have to say anything. And she's like, huh? And he's like, oh, goo goo gaga, you're dumb. That's funny. A 12-year-old inside of young kids forgetting that he's a 12-year-old and talking like a 12-year-old just to shock the people. That's funny, man. This book is genuinely funny. Even the dad makes fun of the son, saying he might be on the spectrum because he was slow. That's a bad joke. Nowadays that joke doesn't work, but back in the day, listen, I laughed. That was a funny joke, all right? This book hits all the nails. The ending to this book is so satisfying. It's so justified. And the number one praise I gotta give to this book is the fact that Michael's so smart. I am sick of the you gotta believe me and all these Goosebumps books. The whole thing about crazy stuff happens to you and then you gotta go to your parents and be like, Mom, Dad, you gotta believe me. Like, I just finished reading The Barking Ghost, which was a waste of my time. I don't know what I read with that book, but in The Barking Ghost, he continuously, I think his name's Cooper continuously keeps on telling his parents, there are these dogs and they're ghosts and they're jumping through the wall and they're stealing my lunch. You gotta believe me. And I'm sitting there like, why would they believe you? In this book, Michael does it one time in one scene and then moves on. He realizes no one's going to believe me. Let me problem solve. And the fact that Michael's a problem solving main character, you resonate with him. I'm an only child, but for the siblings out there, I'm sure you resonate with him. I understood why he did what he did, why he hates Tara. Tara's just horrible. She's funny. She's horrible in a funny way, but she's still horrible. Parents are dumb. They'll do, oh, Tara's my sweetie. It ends up helping out at the ending. All of this stuff involving not likable characters pays off in the ending. But Michael is so smart. He's such a smart character. He's such into problem solving. And I don't want to be preachy, but in real life, when you want to do well and you want to succeed in your career or anything you do, problem solving is the number one thing. Complaining and preaching to the choir is not how you get there. You got to problem solve. The more problems you solve, the further you get. And I'm glad that Michael, without shoving it in your face, is a problem solver and he succeeded at the end of the story. Unintentionally or intentionally, that's up to you. Sorry for that long intro because I love this book. I reviewed The Cuckoo Clock of Doom because I just finished reading it. I will be reviewing it right now. And if you like this content and you want to check out my other videos, there's a subscribe button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all the love and support. I want to increase our subscribers. Hopefully get to 50 subscribers, 100 subscribers, however many we get to. Get as many subscribers as possible. Build up the Goosebumps army. Like the video down below to let me know you like the content. And just so that way I get some reaffirming that this is the type of content you guys want to see. And comment down below your thoughts on the book. Did you like it as much as I do? Did you hate this book for some odd reason? Did you, what books you want me to read in the future? Just let me know all that stuff down below. Make a community down there. You know the drill. I've explained it. This book, What's the plot synopsis after that long praising intro? The plot synopsis is about a kid named Michael. He's 12 years old, and he has a snot of a little sister. His sister's 7 years old, and she's horrible. She tortures him. She harasses him. She ruined his birthday by scratching up his bike. She tripped him so he fell on his cake. She exposed that, he liked his crush in front of her while they're at the birthday party. She one time, the worst thing she ever did, or two of the worst things, was she had his crush and her friends come over to the house for some play recital, and she invited her up to his room where he was changing in his underwear, so he got caught with his pants down, literally, not figuratively, literally. And then during a basketball game, when the biggest kid was on the team was obsessed about his, I think, like Denver hat, some team hat, she took it, snuck it in her brother Michael's backpack, and he ended up getting beat up, got bruised, got bloody, got scratches. He got absolutely whooped, and yeah, she's horrible. So what ends up happening is that the dad brings in a new cuckoo clock. This story takes place a couple of days after his birthday party ended, what he claims to be the worst birthday party ever. He brings in this antique cuckoo clock from this antique store, and he brought it in because he thinks it's beautiful, he thinks it's fascinating. The store owner says there's a little flaw with it, which no one can really see, so because there's that little flaw in it, basically he decides, all right, you know what, I'm just going to take it. It doesn't look flawed to me, so I'll bring it in for the kids, bring it in for myself. And the cuckoo clock apparently has lore behind it, as I explained in the beginning of the video. The lore to this Cuckoo Clock of Doom book, and specifically the Cuckoo Clock of Doom itself, the object, is that it was apparently made by a wizard in Germany, and he put a spell on this cuckoo clock that allegedly can let you go back in time. And for a neat little feature, there is a dial on the a golden knob on the cuckoo clock that it goes from the year, I think like 1800 when it was first created, all the way to the year 3000. And right now they're currently in the year 2003 or 2004 when the story is taking place. So all the list of years are on there. Let that infer what that may entail. And what ends up happening is one day he decides to mess around with the cuckoo clock because he wants to get his sister Tara in trouble, thinking that, because she's been around that cuckoo clock and the dad has noticed, if he does something to the cuckoo clock, the dad's going to blame Tara. So he goes and he twists the cuckoo clock's head backwards as it's cuckooing 12 times. It goes back into the clock, and when he wakes up the next day, he actually went back in time to the birthday party a couple of days ago, his 12th birthday party, which he said was the worst day of his life, and he has to relive it, and he's conscious of the whole thing. And there's a few parts where he can change some things because he knows if I change it, it'll do this. And then he wakes up the next day and he goes even further back, a couple of days back to when that recital thing happened where his crush saw him with his underwear out. Then he goes back a day before when the game where he got beat up by that big kid. So he continuously keeps going back in time, but eventually starts skipping time where he goes back to when he's like 7 years old, and then when he's 5 years old, and when he's 4 years old, and then when he's a baby. Yes, you do see him when he's a baby with a 12-year-old mind. It's a very creative book, and it's a very funny book. There's a lot of funny moments in this book where the kid with a 12-year-old mind is running around in a smaller body, and it's hard. But he's problem solving because instead of going, you gotta believe me, he realizes that they won't believe that he's in time warp. So he decides, all right, what I gotta do is I gotta go back and find this clock. Oh wait, I went back in time before Dad bought the clock. All right, well, in that case, I gotta go to the antique shop and I gotta find that clock. Turns out the antique shop is closed for vacation when he's 7 years old. He's like, all right, I gotta wait, go back, and if I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna wake back up when I'm younger, then I gotta go try to find it then. And it progressively gets harder because he keeps getting younger. And when you get younger, your body gets smaller, you don't have as much money on you, you can't be moving around as easily, and someone's always watching you, so you're always in the sight of somebody. But he finds a way to make it work. He goes through this whole journey, and you'll go through the journey, and then you'll get to the climax, which is pretty intense, and then you'll get to the ending of the book, and the ending of the book is... the ending is justified, in my opinion. It's justified. And you know what? The ending lets you know that Michael is very smart because he realizes what the outcome may have been is good for him and seems all fine and dandy on the outside. But in reality, is it morally right? No, it's not morally right. But is it justified? Maybe. It's a very dark ending. When you think about what he did unintentionally from the clock, it's dark. This This book has dark humor. It has dark humor. There's a point where he's a toddler and he has to get his diaper changed, and he's a 12-year-old. He's conscious, and it just ends off with, "I'd rather not talk about what just happened. I'd rather just leave it out of my memory and pretend it never existed." It was just funny. I was dying laughing at that. And it has some dark jokes involving what the dad says it when he's a toddler, and it also gets dark in terms of the ending. So this book, even though it's not necessarily scary, which is what I would take points off of if I felt nitpicky, this book, when I imagine myself in the situation, going through what Michael did and trying to problem solve just like he did, I felt an anxiety deep down. Like, I felt anxious. I felt the stress. I felt the stakes. There's a lot of stakes involved in this book. There's a lot of suspense. There's a lot of just overall good pacing. Everything matters. You got humor in there. You got funny. You got adventure. You got creative takes on the plot. You got everything. You got a satisfying ending. You got a great main character. This book hits everything that I would want out of a 5 out of 5 book. So that's what I would rate this book. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. If you don't, for whatever reason, that's perfectly fine. Again, it's your opinion. And I know some people who love the book who wouldn't give it. But to me, this book nails everything that I wanted in a Goosebumps book. Even though it lacks that scary, it makes up for in the anxiety, the stakes that I compare Goosebumps book to each other. So I'm like, all right, how do I rate these books? Let me rate it on how I like it, and let me rate it how they compare to each other. This book, if I were to nitpick it, it would not be fair to the other books that have done way worse with much more plot holes and much less detail and much less execution. And it would not be fair to this book to nitpick it. So you know what? It gets a certified stamp, all right? Certified stamp for flawless victory. Cuckoo Clock of Doom wins. That's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to explain the plot and how good this book is without spoiling too much. I may have given away too much. Sorry about that if I did, but again, read this book. If you're going to read a Goosebumps book, I would recommend 100% you read Cuckoo Clock of Doom. It is fantastic. I can really sit here and dissect it and talk about it all day, but to be honest, you just have to read it. You have to get into it, and once you do, you'll be in tune. You'll want to talk about this book. You'll always remember this book, and it'll be a fantastic read. I promise you that. And I'm happy I listened to other people. They said it was a great book. I listened. I was like, all right, let me read it, because I was hesitant on the cover as a kid. But when I read this book, fantastic, fantastic. So yeah, that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to stay tuned for more content, I will have more reviews coming out. I've read a lot of books right now, but I like staying ahead of the books I read, because the worst thing I want to do is where I catch up with my reviews and I have to wait on me actually reading and finishing a book to come up with a review. I don't want to do that. So I've read a bunch of books that I can do reviews on, and I'll keep on reading and keep having books to review. So you guys will have content upcoming. And also go to my channel. I have playlists, I have videos. Check out my other reviews and check out my content. I also have other videos on the channel linked below in the description. BD Manga that has some of the horror reviews. I'll be revisiting some of those books later in the lifespan of this channel. But for now, you could go check out those original reviews. And yeah, again, subscribe to the channel, get to 50 subscribers, 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, get as many subscribers as we can, build up this army, build up this community, because I love you guys and I love interacting with you guys. Like the video so you let me know, reaffirming again that you like the content, and those are free ways to support me. So again, feel free to do so if you wish and if you enjoyed. And yeah, that's it for today. Deuces. This book was hilarious, man. I mean, that diaper scene... Chef's kiss. Actually, I shouldn't chef's kiss when I'm talking about a dirty diaper. Can I go back in time and take that back?